Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
सतनाम श्री वाहिगुरु साहिब जियो। तुम दाते ठाकुर व्रत पालक, नायक खसम हमारे। निमख निमख तुम ही व्रत पालो हो, हम बारक तुमरे तारे। जिहवा एक कवन गुण कहिया, बेसुमार बेअंत स्वामी, तिर अंत न कनिही लहिया रहाओ। कोट पराध हमारे खंड हो, अनक बदी समझाव हो। हम अज्ञान अलब मत थोरी, तुम आपन बिरद रखाव हो। तुमरी शरण तुम्हारी आशा, तुम ही सजन सुहेले। राखो हो राखन हार दयाला, नानक करके गोले। राखो हो राखन हार दयाला, नानक करके गोले। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. So I've been asked to talk about fire today. I just want to start off with this image. So I know it's not what you'd usually expect, talking about fire and as babies. It's not just because I'm a baby, but I've got method in this madness. So babies, as all humans, are born with reflexes. One of them is falling, so when we fall backwards, we instantly kind of move forwards again. One of them is, if anything comes towards our eyes, we instantly blink. Another one is if we touch heat or something very hot, if you've ever experienced that with a tawa, when you're making rotiya, we instantly flinch back, or iron or anything like that. So those are our reflexes. And this leads me on to our first rupa, the first form of fire that I want to talk about. There's two that I'd like to talk about today. So Maharaj says, Hansa heta loba kopa chare nadiya ag, that there are 4 rivers of fire in this world. Rivers of fire which harm us. What do they comprise of? Cruelty, material attachment, so attachment to worldly objects, greed and anger. And these 4 rivers are burning our world as we know it. Okay. Now looking within that, looking at the outside world and these fires, these are news articles which I just uploaded today. So just looking at BBC News or around the internet today, we can see that there's such cruelty going on. Look at the situation in Nigeria, what's going on there. Look at the fact that, attachment is just to a ridiculous extent right now. A girl of 13 kills herself because her mum banned her from Facebook. But that's the power of attachment, that's the power of these 4 fires at this moment. The amount of greed and cruelty that people have. A woman 50 years old couldn't pay her rent, so she arranged for her landlord as an agreement to rape women. She's pleaded guilty in 2 counts of assisting the rape of a young woman. This is the level or the extent of cruelty that exists in our world. And I'm sure we all know about the teacher who was stabbed. That level of anger is what we're suffering or what we're subject to in this world today. Now this fire isn't just outside in the world. Maharaj says, Char nadiya agni tanachare. Trisna jalata jale ahankare. So this fire exists within us as well. So not just in the outside world, not just in other people, but within us as well. So we're burning up with ego. We've got anger within us. Sometimes our actions might not be cruel, but our intentions are. Half of the bab, half of the bad deeds that we commit are just with our thoughts. How many of us can say that we're free of this fire? And the worst thing is that society itself is telling us to be this way. Society kind of promotes being this way, promotes being lustful, promotes being greedy. This is just a new perfume that's come out, and it's called greed. I know it's ridiculous. Perfume adverts and car adverts, I think, are the most ridiculous. So promoting lust, promoting being angry, being greedy, that kind of a lifestyle is what we're told is kind of living the life, is enjoying your life, having these qualities within you. This is what you need to be happy, is what we're told nowadays. Maharaj says, Jagata Jalanda Rakhala Apani Kirpatar. So the whole world is suffering within this fire. Maharaj says, please Maharaj, save us. Tavai save us from this. Coming back to that story about the baby I mentioned in the beginning, even if a baby, when it's young, knows or has the innate reflex that if it touches heat, it will back away, it will cry, it will have some sort of reaction. However, if that baby saw a fire, it wouldn't necessarily know that that's going to cause it pain. So if it sees a fire, it will crawl towards the fire, not knowing that if it crawls inside, it's going to feel pain and it's going to be burnt. Now a parent, seeing their child crawling towards the fire, is obviously or hopefully going to pick up that baby and stop it from crawling to the fire, with the knowledge that they're going to burn or they're going to suffer pain. So they're going to stop that baby from crawling into that fire. Now Maharaj has done the same for us. Maharaj has told us that these 4 rivers of fire exist in the world, that cruelty, that attachment to material objects, that having greed, having anger within us is harmful to us. Maharaj has told us that through Gurbani. He's warned us, just like the way the parent warns their child from bad things. Maharaj, out of love, out of pyar for us, has warned us as well. But what if we haven't listened to this? What if we've suffered from this pain? What if we've got anger within our homes? What if we've got cruelty within our heart? Or we're attached to material objects? We cry if our iPhone breaks, or if the internet stops working, or anything along those lines. What if we've been burned by this? Let's think about why Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj came to this world in the first place. Now this is from Bhai Gurdas Ji's Vara, when they're talking about when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj came. Baba dekhe tyaan tar jalati sab prithvi disa ai. Bajuho Guru Gubar hai kardi suni lokai. So in his bhakti, in his dhyantar, so in his in tuneness with the one, with Vaheguru himself, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj sees this whole world suffering from these 4 rivers of fire, this whole world burning in cruelty, in ego, in anger, in lust. Maharaj sees all of this. He hears the cries of common men. So what does Guru Nanak Dev Ji do? He takes the roop of a saint. Maharaj puts on humble clothes of poverty. And what does he do? He travels the world. He travels the world to save people from this fire, to save them from the cruelty and the greed and the lost state that the world is in at the moment. Think about where we looked at those news articles just previously. Similar things were happening, or even worse things were happening at that time in the world. Women were being burned alive if their husband died. Countless atrocities were happening on this earth. So Maharaj took that libas and he travelled the world to spread this message. So how did Maharaj say we can be saved from this fire? Maharaj says, now Bhagat Farid Ji and Gurbani says from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that he thought I was in trouble. But then he then says, Uche charke dekhiya taan kar eha ag. That this fire of greed, of ego, of anger is within every single house. He thought I was in trouble. He says, I thought I was in trouble. But this fire, everyone is suffering from this. Every house is on fire. But Maharaj comes, and Bhai Gurdas Ji says what Guru Nanak Dev Ji does is groundbreaking. He changes it, and he makes kar andar taramsal hove kirtan sada sohilla. Maharaj changes every house into a taramsal, into a place of faith, into a place of worship. So he combats this fire, this ag that the whole world is suffering from at that moment, and he turns it from faith. So he challenges it with faith. And he puts faith in all of those houses. Now how can we get to this point? Now I come on to the other roop of fire. So first I talked about the fact that Maharaj says that there's 4 rivers of fire: cruelty, anger, material attachment and greed. But there's another roop of fire, and this one's good in that sense. So we've got the flame of prayer. So that jot, that roop, that fire inside us, which is of a good nature, which is of tapasya. Maharaj says, Pao khala aganata patao. So Maharaj says, as using the fear of God as the bellows. So if you've ever seen kind of metal workers kind of had that pump to pump oxygen to a fire, to feed it oxygen. Maharaj says, let the fear and the love of Vaheguru be those bellows, that feeding the oxygen. Aganata patao. So the way we kindle a fire, if anybody's ever gone camping, and we slowly feed it small pieces of wood, and we build up that fire. Maharaj says, aganata patao. In that same way, feed and nurture this tapasya, this bhakti, this meditation, this contemplation of what? Of who? Of Vaheguru himself. And how? Maharaj has given us a huge treasure chest of Gurbani through Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Within there's oceans and oceans of Gurbani, of Bard for us to contemplate upon. Now then, what's the power of that flame? What's the power of taking that fire, or having that fire burning inside us, rather than the fire of cruelty and of ego? This is a Sakhi. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, as we said, went all over and travelled in his udasis. And during his udasis, he came across somebody called Sheikh Sajjan. Now, Sheikh Sajjan owned an inn for travellers. It was in quite a remote location. He was quite a respected man. He also made a mandir and a mosque on his inn site, so to respect others. Such was his high status that he got the name Sheikh. So the nearby people named him Sheikh. Now, however, he had loads of land, so he gained loads of profit from it, and he became quite a rich man. But unfortunately, he succumbed to that fire of cruelty and of greed, and he became so greedy that the people who used to stay over in his inn, he killed them, and he would rob anything they had with his workers, and he'd throw them in a nearby well. Now, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj came with Bhai Mardana across his travels, he came to stay at Sajjan, he's known as Sajjan Thag now, in his inn. As he stays in his inn, Sajjan Thag says, "Oh, please go to sleep, rest now," so he can kill Maharaj and take all his belongings. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj says, "Stop. We're going to read Gurbani first." Bhai Mardana ji plays his rabab, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji starts to read Gurbani. Now, this is just the loose English translation. But I've just highlighted key points that I want to talk about. So Maharaj says, polished bronze appears shiny yet blackens. So he's saying from the outside you might appear clean and pure, but inside you're blackened with the soot of fire. So even if someone touches it, they're blackened. So inside we're dirty. With these impure characteristics, that can't be washed away. It's such the barb that he has inside him, such the qualities that he has inside him. Is my friend, so this true Sikh of the Guru is the one who walks with me, so walks on this path of Sikhi. Maya says, what service avails the deeds, so of these cunning deeds? So what will you have to pay for these deeds which you've done? What will await you after you die? Mara says, oh Nanak, contemplate the Naam and sever your fettered chains. So Mara says, O Agbal, do you kindle that fire, nurture that fire inside you of Naam, of reading Gurbani, of making yourself closer and closer to Vaheguru. And then you'll cut these chains, you'll cut these bondages, you'll cut these links to bad deeds. Now this is the way in which Maharaj extinguished the bad fire. So he put out the fire of greed and cruelty within Sajjan Thag at that time, and he awakened within him the light of bhakti. So he awakened in him with that fire, that flame of prayer. Now what's the power of that flame? It extinguishes all the darkness that we have within our soul, all the darkness of the bad deeds that Sajjan Thag had within him. It extinguished all of those, and he became a Sikh of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. To such an extent that now a university in Amritsar has even a special, or one of their main rooms named after Sheikh Sajjan. Okay. Now, I've talked about two roops of fire, one which can burn us in terms of cruelty and greed and ego, and sometimes which the world, to be honest, is preaching about and saying this is the life to live, come and join us over here. There's also another fire, the one within us that has the power to extinguish all of our barb, to burn away all of our barb, in a similar way that a fire can take over a forest and completely extinguish that. So we've got this fire, this roop inside us, that pure jyot of Gurbani that we can nurture and we can kindle. Or we have a fire within us of cruelty and of greed and of worldly attachment that we can kindle. The choice is up to us now, which path we want to take. Thank you for listening. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Guru Vahe